teach the whole world music. To sing a simple melody. To sing about all the joys and good times, yeah. You see, that's the way God meant for it to be. And if you don't like it, you don't have to sing. You don't have to sing my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to play. You don't have to play my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing. You don't have to sing my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to play my song. I'd love to sing a song for all the children. They are our future. Can you see? Take a little time out for the babies and teach them about love, hope, and prosperity. And if you don't like it, you don't have to sing my song. And if you don't like it, you don't have to play my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing my song. And if you don't like it, you don't have to play my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing my song. If you don't like it, you don't.
Wonderful, wonderful day for you. I am just grateful, grateful, grateful to be able to come on one more time and share with you some wonderful, wonderful information. And I find that it really is valuable to me. There are great writers out here, psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, uh, persons who don't even claim a degree, lay persons. It is just wonderful that there's so much out here for us. Dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. And we're in Psych Central today and Life Hack. Psych Central and Life Hack. So I have from Life Hack, I'm going to do set 11 simple ways to value yourself. And in Psych Central, the power of self worth, recognizing your value. And the question that I have asked us today is, do you value yourself or your life? Do you accurately value your self worth? That is a question that we can all ask. Some of us say, yes, I do. But can there be some improvement on what we do? I believe there can. And these people are writing and studying to help us, and I'm studying and researching and searching to help us also to get this great information. So I am going to go ahead and go with the power of self-worth, recognizing your value, and this is Psych Central. And this is medically reviewed by the Scientific Advisory Board, written by Dr. Ann Tanasugarn, Tanasugarn, or Tanasugarn, on June the 22nd in 2020. So as I do when the names, I don't know whether I get the pronunciation correct or not, and I ask Dr. Ann to forgive me if I did not correctly pronounce your last name. So I want to make myself clear and I want to be clear. And my intention is to give this great advice. So we often hear of self worth as necessary for forming a healthy sense of self esteem and a solid self identity. Self worth. How do you value yourself? Do you adequately, accurately value yourself, your self worth? Do you value your life? Well, we're asking questions and we're going to answer them as much as possible today, okay? I would say as much as possible or as helpful as possible. We will give answers and information. All right, I think I got it right there. So, we often hear self worth is necessary for forming a healthy sense of self esteem and a solid self identity. Self worth is at the foundation for the concepts of self acceptance and self love. And you know that that is what my aim is for everyone. Self esteem, high self worth. And then when we have that ourselves, then we can help other people, okay? So without feeling a solid sense of worth or value, it is difficult, if not impossible, to feel worthy of love or acceptance from others. And we have heard of situations we didn't quite know, like in our earlier years and when we had not studied this information, come upon this information, and had been enlightened in our later years of study, we did not know what some of these things were. We would see things, we would see people who were misused, abused, and they would stay in that situation and the opposite or the partner in that situation or else whoever it is that has control over these people is constantly berating these people and telling them you're not this and you're not that and you don't deserve this, you don't deserve that, and physically abusing them, mentally abusing them, and they stay in that for life. We've seen it. And this is what the deal is, their self worth. They didn't have the self worth. They didn't value themselves as they should. And many times it's because of the lack of knowledge and information and not knowing that you can overcome that and come out of that state that people are constantly trying to keep you in. You can do it. So now that we have this information, we can share it with others. And it's a shame to have information that should be shared with others and sit on it for so many reasons that are absolutely selfish. And I aim, by the grace of God, to help as many people as I can during my lifetime. And that song, I'd love to teach the whole world of music. It hits it just right because I want to teach the whole world music to sing a simple melody for all the children, all the people all over the world. I'd love to teach the whole world music. And when my dear, dear life friend composed that song. He gave that song to me and let me do with it, orchestrate it, arrange it. I kept all of the words, I kept his melody, and my sisters and I and my children and my sister-in-law Donna, and so we said she's my sister too. We went into the studio and we recorded it. And I am just so thankful. I'm so thankful because I love to teach the whole world music, just like Robert wrote it, to sing a simple melody, to sing about all the joys and good times. That's the way God meant for it to be. And then it says, those not being arrogant, not being boastful, not being what should I say, inconsiderate, but if people don't like the song, they don't have to sing it, they don't have to play it, but the song has a message to the world. But everybody has their own preferences and everything, and I understand that. But I tell you, I'd love to teach the whole world music, and that is what I'm trying to do, a melody in life. Not just literally singing, but the rhythm of the positivity in the world today. Oh my goodness. So, as I continue here in Psych Central, the implications to a lack of self worth are many. Those with limited self worth are more vulnerable to experiencing toxic relationships and self defeating behaviors, which can include negative self talk, avoidance of intimacy, comparing themselves to others, or sabotaging relationships because of feeling undeserving of them. Now, isn't it just agreeing with what I just said? And for anyone who has experienced an unhealthy or abusive relationship, they know all too well that the feelings of self doubt that bubble up over time often get reinforced when staying in a toxic situation. And I say this, you don't have to stay in a toxic situation, male or female. You don't have to stay in a toxic situation. There are so many organizations in the world, all over the world, that can help you to get out of that toxic situation and build your life up, build your self worth up with in your mind, build your self esteem up, give you a new start and a brand new lease on life. But let me tell you this, you have to be wise. When you are in a toxic relationship, don't announce that you are planning to leave the relationship, not to the abuser, please. And if you have a confidant, please make sure that that confidant is really who and what they say he or she say that they are, okay? Because some people work both sides of the fence. Some people have their own agenda. So please be very careful. There's a scripture in the Bible that says you don't tell, not even the one you lie next to at night, don't tell them everything. So when you get ready to leave, you make the plans as best you can. And if you don't have time to complete your plans, if you need to get out of there, you find a way to get out of there. Okay? So if you haven't started planning, start now, but don't stay there and die in that toxic relationship. And I don't want you to get in trouble by possibly committing an act that will mess your life up forever in retaliation, because sometimes you can snap and you don't know what's happened until you come back to yourself, okay? Mentally. Take it from someone who knows, okay? So, yet because of their lack of self worth or feelings of shame, they find themselves staying stuck in an unhealthy situation. Oh my goodness. Now, let me go back here because I want to reiterate this. Those with limited self worth, this is Psych Central, okay? Those with limited self worth are more vulnerable to experiencing toxic relationships and self defeating behaviors, which can include negative self talk, avoidance of intimacy, comparing themselves to others, or sabotaging relationships because of feeling undeserving of them. And for anyone who has experienced an unhealthy or abusive relationship, they know all too well that the feelings of self doubt that bubble up over time often get reinforced when staying in a toxic situation. Yet, because of their lack of self worth or feelings of shame, they find themselves staying stuck in an unhealthy situation. Don't let it be you any longer, okay? But use wisdom. Please use wisdom and be very cautious, okay? If there are children involved, you make a plan. If you have to make a way for those children to be gone already, into a safe environment before you make your exit, you make sure you do that, okay? Because you know some people will take it out on the next person or thing. Be very careful, okay? Adults with a history of childhood neglect or abuse often struggle with insecure attachments throughout life, including issues in forming and maintaining a healthy sense of self worth. Enmeshed, anxious, ambivalent, angry, dismissive, or avoidant attachment styles are at the increased risk for diagnoses like depression, anxiety, and in repeating cycles of unhealthy relationship dynamics which perpetuate feelings of worthlessness or in lacking value. Similarly, those who are raised to not recognize their competencies or skills often struggle with feelings of worthlessness and low self esteem throughout life. Do you know anyone like that? Do you know anyone like that? It's amazing how God gives us these topics. It's amazing. My God, God gives us these topics. And I'm thankful because somebody somewhere needs this. Somebody somewhere needs this. And not just one body. There are hundreds of thousands of bodies that need this. Good afternoon, Lady Patsy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so grateful that you're here with me. There's so much that the world needs, so much that the world needs. We need it, we need it, we need it. So it's a sad thing when people don't know uh, how and why things are happening to them. Many times it's because of the environment that they're in. It's so much has to do with this. Here are 10 warning signs that self worth is lacking. Feeling uncomfortable or self conscious around others, avoidance of new places, relationships, or situations, A history of abusive or neglectful relationships where basic needs are often unmet, seeking validation from others, a constant need for reassurance, settling for shallow or unfulfilling relationships, deep feelings of shame or not good enough, discomfort with or inability to accept compliments from others, people pleasing behavior, sensitive to criticism or fear of being judged by others, social anxiety or fear of being judged as unworthy. And so when these are to a point of excess, there's where the problem lies. Because all of us are concerned to some point of our appearance, our acceptance, and all of that, but not unhealthily. So when it gets unhealthy, that's where the problem is. Now we'll go to building self worth. Building self worth. And I want to do something here. I don't know. Okay. I want to make sure that my title is coming up like it should. I don't know, but maybe I should just go ahead and finish this, and then I'll change the title if it needs to be changed. Building self worth. This is going to help so many people. Building or rebuilding self worth is a process and requires dedication, commitment, and a desire to recognize that you are a worthwhile person. And we spend our times, and every time we come on, and I know you can attest to this because I watch Lady Patsy, her webcasts, and when I can tune in, and she's constantly giving positive information, constantly. And so it's out here for all of us. So building or rebuilding self worth is a process and requires dedication, commitment, and a desire to recognize that you are a worthwhile person. So here's some tips in helping reestablish a sense of worth, and they include: aim for improvement, not perfection. This makes so much sense because when we aim, many times we're trying to get to perfection, and the improvement sometimes lacks because we're trying to get to another step before we go to the first step that we need to finish, start and finish. So aim for improvement, not perfection. Shed the misconception that you are or anyone has to be perfect. When self worth is lacking, comparing yourself to others is common. What happens is you wind up shortchanging your attributes and qualities while focusing on your imperfections, which keeps you stuck in the loop of thinking you have no value. This type of mindset is toxic to self love. Instead, recognize that no one is perfect and that imperfection does not mean a lack of worth or value. We're all striving every day to be better and better and better. So when you get to perfection, that means you don't need any improvement. So I don't think any of us can say that right now, but we can work towards it, but take the normal steps towards it. Okay, the necessary things that help us in the present. Next, walk away from toxic relationships. And I know I spent some time on that earlier, but this is very important. Walk away from toxic relationships. And we know that we have to be, like I said, cautious. You have to be careful. You have to be discreet. You have to do it privately. Be wise. Okay? Walk away from toxic relationships. When you struggle with self worth, you can be attracted to unhealthy relationships for many reasons. They fill a void, they distract you from in the moment, from having to think about your problems. Your attention is shifted from your issues to focusing on their problems, or you may feel that a toxic relationship that lacks authenticity and depth is all you're deserving of. These relationships are not limited to intimate partners, but can also include friends, colleagues, or family. And see, I did mention that earlier. It's not just that significant other. Recognize whether you need whether your needs are being met or ignored, and how you feel when you are around certain people. If you are feeling unheard or invisible around them, or feel worse about yourself when you are with them, the relationship may not be a healthy one. And do you know that there are some people who enjoy being around people at certain times who they feel are inferior to them, so that they can build themselves up and make themselves feel like, oh, I'm somebody, I'm not like this person. But yet they have the person around them at certain times so that they can feel big about themselves. This happens. This happens. Acceptance is the next. Recognize your inherent value and worth by accepting yourself completely while focusing on building your self worth from there. Acceptance includes being kind to yourself. We talk about this quite often. Being kind to yourself, to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and human, and to treat yourself with compassion. If you have struggled with never feeling good enough throughout most of your life, be realistic in your expectations of personal growth and appreciate every step you master along the way. Remember that the journey is as important as the destination. I like that. Remember that the journey is as important as the destination. My goodness, I like that. I think I'm going to post that on here. Okay, now, next, positively challenge your inner critic. And we know we are very critical of ourselves. Sometimes I think we're more critical of ourselves than other people. But positively challenge your inner critic. That little voice in your head wants to try and convince you that you are not good enough or worthy of happiness or love. And each time you sabotage your happiness, that little voice wins. If your inner critic is trying to convince you that you are not deserving of love or happiness, or only worth a toxic relationship, challenge those negative thoughts by becoming aware of when you're having them. Challenge those negative thoughts by becoming aware of when you are having them. Where you are when you hear negative self talk, where are you? Okay? What are you doing? Try removing yourself from what you're being told by challenging your misbeliefs as untrue. Oh my goodness. I am finished with this. Isn't that good? Psych Central. That's a great piece for us. That's Psych Central, and I'm going to put that quote on this after I finish because I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do it right now. But I am so grateful that you're here with me because this is very important. And it's the more of us that hear it and participate, that means we can share it with other people. It means so much. Now we are in Life Hack 11 simple ways to value yourself more. 11 simple ways to value yourself more. This is written by Alexandra Sejepcevic. And Alexandra, please forgive me if I didn't get your last name right, okay? It's accredited and certified Vinyasa yoga teacher writing for health and fitness. This is accredited and certified Vinyasa yoga teacher writing for health and fitness. All right. Great piece here. Self worth and self value play integral roles in how you see and treat yourself in our everyday life. Learn how to utilize both to value yourself through your words and actions. Okay? Learn how to utilize both to value yourself and through your words and actions. So, what is self worth? The idea of self worth comes down to feeling that you are a good person who deserves to be treated with respect. And that's just as simple can be, and just as accurate can be. Self worth. What is self worth? Comes down to feeling that you are a good person who deserves to be treated with respect. If you value yourself, you inherently feel that you are kind, compassionate, and respectful, and are worthy of those same things in return. Aligning ourselves to our own self worth allows us to move into more actionable steps that grow and nurture that worth. This is done through self value. So, what is self value? While self worth is more emotional, self value is more behavioral. This is where we take the foundation of how we feel about ourselves and put it to work. Self value is the driving vehicle that allows us to walk the walk and act in ways that align with what we value. Hi, Clarence. How you doing? Pastor Clarence, my cousin, first cousin. Thank you for joining me. I love you. And I told Della through your page, happy birthday. Happy birthday again, Della. Self worth. Don't ever, ever, ever from this day forward let anybody value you. You value yourself. Now, if they want to value you higher than who you are, accept it and go on. But you are the main one to value yourself, and you have to build up to where you want to be. So many people have been beaten down mentally and physically till it's said that some people can't look you in the eye. They don't walk straight up and proud because they've been beaten down so much. But after today, No, no, no more for so many, okay? Now, this shows up in the way we talk to people or in steps we take to speak our truth. Both self worth and self value feed off of one another, but it's helpful to point out the subtle differences. Yes, it is. How do they differ? Self worth is at the core of our being. It's how we step into our life and our purpose, and how we develop our worthiness as human beings. We can also argue that a healthy sense of self worth is highly responsible for the decisions we make, relationships we foster, and life paths we choose. So, self worth is very, very important, okay? On the other hand, if you don't value yourself, it can lead to bouts of aggressive self criticism and depreciating self image. Self value is an action that keeps us aligned to that self worth. We can also think of self value as another feeding element of the bigger umbrella term of self worth. Valuing ourselves is represented in actionable ways, many of which are highlighted below, and we're going to go below, okay? When we learn how to value ourselves, not only do we nurture our self-worth, but we also extend that energy out to our communities and the people in them, because if we think we have uh, we are worthy of life and we value ourselves, we have self worth and we have self value, then we can pass it on to others. But if we don't have it, we can't pass it on. All we can pass on is what we possess. And sometimes we, like I said, people are beaten down, trodden down, misused, abused. So much is happening in people's lives today. But those of us who are taking in this knowledge and accepting the point of view, we can help others, okay? Next section, how to value yourself. Number one, acknowledge the inner critic. Remember, we talked about that. Listen and pay attention to when it speaks, where you are when it speaks, and all of that. Pinpoint it, okay? We all have that loud inner voice that isn't always kind. It interjects when we have ideas and projects in hand, and it often persuades us from taking that leap of faith or believing in ourselves. When left unchecked, the inner critic can have devastating effects on our self esteem. This is no place for our self worth to grow. Wrestling with the critic is often a lifelong journey, but a first good step is to acknowledge it. So many people live the length of their life with this voice on autopilot, never realizing how much of a dictator it has become. When you can pause and acknowledge that it is calling the shots, you can learn to take back your power and value, but you have to acknowledge it. You have to realize what's going on, okay? Number two, receive a compliment. The next time someone compliments you, no- notice if you're quick to send the compliment back or wave your hand dismissively so as not to attract attention. We're so afraid of coming off as needy that we hardly ever receive the good words someone sends our way. Really, the true culprit here is that we don't often believe we're worthy of the compliment. And I was talking to my friend the other day. She and I were talking, and we were talking about an interview that I thank God that God caused me to conduct. And one of the interviews, and I was saying, I've asked other people, some turned me down, and I said, many people feel like that is some type of bragging on themselves if they participate and let someone interview them. But I'm going to say this, every one of us has a story to tell. We have his story and her story, okay? His story and her story. All of us can share something with the world. And that's why I like to do the interviews. And first, when I was doing them, and you ask questions, and uh, people tell you some things that they might have never told anyone else. And I thought about it and I said, well, I ask questions, but I have to be an example. So I interviewed myself, and you can find it on YouTube. I think it's in 4 or 5 parts. And I say I'm going to go back and connect them all together. But at the time, the software that I used caused me to have to separate them, the each part, certain parts. But I do have on YouTube, me, myself, and I. That's my life. Because I said, now I ask other people questions, so I need to be able to tell something about myself. And I did it. The beautiful truth here is that we don't often see ourselves in the same way others see us. So the next time someone says something nice about you, believe them and receive their words fully. And I know more than one person that said to me, Shirley, I wish you could see yourself as I see you, as others see you. And I say, and they mean it in a complimentary way, because I just go ahead and do what I believe the Lord wants me to do, and I go on to the next thing. And so I don't think of myself as being high and big and popular and all of that. I just do what I believe should be done. That's what I do. But I want to spread music to the whole world, not just my music, literal music, but a melody of happiness, love, joy, peace, acceptance to the whole world. Like Robert titled this song, I'd love to teach the whole world music. And that's what I'm trying to do right here on Point of View with Ms. Shirley Polk on Greater Gospel Temple and Inspiration of God Ministries webcasts, on S Polk Light On when I interview people, even on the Mother's Board Inc. I'm trying to spread love and melody in the atmosphere. Yes. Number 3, be grateful for effort. And what we're doing here is taking a check on ourselves, doing a self check. Are we valuing ourselves as we ought to? Are we accurately, accurately valuing our self worth? Okay? Be grateful for effort is number 3. It's not always easy to show up to life. We don't always stop to examine just how much effort in we put forth in everyday living. One way to value yourself more is to be grateful for everything you do. Be grateful for everything you do. It's easy to be critical and wish you'd done better, but you're always doing the best that you can. Keep that up and celebrate small progress. Your entire being will thank you tenfold. Next, forgive yourself often. When things don't go as planned, practice forgiveness. When people hurt you, practice forgiveness. Holding on to grudges, whether from others or yourself, is like intentionally plaguing yourself with burdens that you don't need to carry. So true. Forgiveness is the free remedy that can alleviate so much of our suffering when we hold on to bitterness. It's worthy of implementing it into our everyday life. We're in lifehack.org, okay? Number 5, practice affirmations in the mirror. We've talked about this before also. Words carry a potent amount of power, and positive words are like miracles waiting to sprout. Because words, the, because the eyes are the mirror to the soul, practicing speaking of affirmations in the mirror is even more potent. When we can catch our own gaze and fill our space with positive words, we send that energy deep into our own psyche. Affirmations may be something like, I am loved and loving, or today I embrace myself as I am. Do that for yourself, okay? Number 6, give attention to your dreams. Whether you like to write them out in your journal or make a vision board, giving attention to your dreams is a never-ending cycle of self-value and worth. Your dreams are your deepest desires and wishes. When you shine a light on them, you're feeding your soul and heart in a way that is spiritually and emotionally fulfilling. You're also teaching and empowering yourself to believe that you are worthy of those dreams. Number 7, let go of comparison. You are as unique as a snowflake. There is no one else out there quite like you. Oh my goodness. We all know that comparison is the thief of joy. It's easy to compare ourselves to others and think that we're behind or lacking in the same. So true. Uh, uh, oh my goodness, I like that. And we've said this before. Comparison is the thief of joy. And it hasn't been too long since that was in one of the pieces. Okay, now, and number 8. Let me do this little part right here. It says simply not true. Okay, it says you're exactly. Okay, here we go. Let me put this in context. It's easy to compare ourselves to others and think that we're behind or lacking in some way. That's simply not true. You are exactly where you need to be in the time frame of your life. Trust and believe that everyone walks their path in due and divine timing. And I believe that. And I say that God's timing is accurate. And He planned our lives out before the foundation of the world. He did that. And I believe this. You are exactly where you need to be in the time frame of your life. Trust and believe that everyone walks their path in due and divine timing. Instead of focusing on what others have over you, focus on your own unique journey and get excited at the opportunities to come. That is very important. Hello, Pastor John Malone. Thank you so much for being here with me. Number 8, we're asking if you value yourself as you should. Do you value your self worth? Are you accurately valuing your life? Number 8, find ways to serve others. And we talk about this quite often. When we come into the practice of selfless service or seva, we simultaneously feed our own self worth and value. Giving to others is more than just volunteering, it's offering something of ourselves that is uniquely precious and our own. Oh, yes, it is. Whether you have a certain skill you'd like to share, or even just your time, your community benefits from you sharing your own personal contribution to the world. Number 9, accept yourself as you are. Accept yourself as you are. And that what that movie said, like you are beautiful, and so some other things in that quote. You are beautiful. And the scripture says you, what is it? You're wonderfully and fearfully made. Yes, you are. You are unique. Every one of us is unique. There's no one exactly like us. Even the identical twins have differences. Accept yourself as you are. This is number 9. There's no use in reliving the past. It's done. There's no use in wondering about the future. It has not come yet. In the present moment, your greatest gift to yourself is accepting yourself as you are right now. The world is more complete when you show up as authentically as you can. It gives others the courage to do so as well. No doubt you will change and evolve as your life progresses, but right now, how can you show up as yourself? Number 10, don't settle for less. Oh, please don't. Don't settle for less. If you're unhappy, notice that you are and start to ask yourself what would make you happier. You don't have to tolerate anything or anyone who doesn't bring you joy and contentedness. You don't have to do that. And that's what I try to stress very often. You don't have to accept that. You do not. Okay, we often think that we have to sacrifice our own happiness for some bottom line. But that's untrue. There are always choices in life. It's up to you to believe that you are worthy of the best ones. Ooh, this is so good. Number 11, when in doubt, remember your perseverance. Oh, yes. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs. If there's anything that can dampen your self worth, it's thinking that you're not enough or have somehow failed. My goodness. When this happens, think about your end goal or dream. Remember that perseverance is a limitless supply of fuel that is always at your disposal to keep reaching further. Please remember that uh, perseverance, and that resilience. God instilled all of that in us. How do you think we got to where we are now? Because of what He put inside of us. We are so strong. We have no inkling of how strong we are until we look back. And as that song, the words of that song say, how I got over, how I got over. My soul looks back and wonders how I got over. It's because of that perseverance, that resilience that is instilled in us, in our lives by God. Self-worth, we're ending it now. Okay, these are the final thoughts. Self-worth is the umbrella term that represents our core being and who we are at the center of our humanness. The steps we take to actionably align ourselves to that worth is the definition and purpose of self value. One might think that such steps are complex and time consuming. Thankfully, they're anything but. Learning to value yourself requires a gentle shift in perspective to how you show up in your life. Such small yet potent changes can make all the difference for yourself and the greater good. Oh my goodness. Wow. Experience the power of strategy tailored just for you. Personalized system provides custom crafted action steps based on your unique action. These are some uh, what they offer on this site. And I'm so thankful for you because you have joined me today because this is very important that we have self worth, that we have self confidence, that we have self value. Because if we don't value ourselves, how can we understand when somebody is mistreating us? We don't know what we're supposed to expect. So, as of today, and all those other days that I've been able to share. Remember, you are somebody. And what is it? Was that Jesse Jackson said that I am somebody. I may be dot dot dot, but I am somebody. I might be dot dot dot, but I am somebody. What is this? Soul power, black power. Yeah. All right. You are somebody, and I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me on Point of View with Miss Shirley Polk. It's such a pleasure to be able to serve in this element here on the World Wide Web. It is such a blessing and a privilege. And I pray and trust that the remainder of this day, whenever you're watching, this evening, this night, this afternoon, this morning, whenever, that it is wonderfully blessed. I love you so much. Thank you. And please share this for me, okay? Thank you so much. I love you.